Here's something I discovered that most people never figure out. Investing before you have the right bank accounts isn't building wealth, it's gambling with money you can't afford to lose. And I know that sounds dramatic, but stay with me for the next 17 minutes because what I'm about to show you completely rewired how I think about money. And it started with 3 bank accounts. Not 3 index funds, not 3 income streams, 3 bank accounts. I used to think the goal was to get money into the market as fast as possible. Every dollar sitting in a savings account felt like a wasted dollar. Every month I wasn't investing felt like falling behind. So I pushed. I opened a brokerage account, I started putting money in. And then, about 7 months in, my car needed a repair I hadn't planned for. It was $1,400. I didn't have the cash, not liquid, not sitting somewhere ready, so I pulled from my investment account. The market had dipped that week, I sold at a loss, and I paid the $1,400 repair, plus the loss on the investment, plus a mild psychological blow that made me not want to look at my portfolio for 2 months. What I found, after going back and researching this properly, is that behavioral economists call this the forced liquidation trap. It's not a market problem, it's a structure problem. And once I understood that, everything clicked. The accounts aren't where the money lives. The accounts are what determine whether you ever get to keep the money you make. Let me show you exactly what I mean, because the numbers here are more uncomfortable than most people realize. As of early 2026, the average American household carries $22,713 in non-mortgage debt. That includes credit cards, personal loans, and buy now, pay later balances. The average credit card APR right now sits at approximately 21.5%. Not 8%, not 12%, 21.5%. Here's what that means in real terms. If someone carries $6,000 in credit card debt at 21.5%, which is actually below the national average balance for cardholders, and they only make minimum payments, they will pay back nearly $14,000 over the life of that debt. The original $6,000 cost them $8,000 in interest. Meanwhile, the S&P 500's historical average return is around 10% per year before inflation. So while someone is investing and earning 10%, they're simultaneously losing 21.5% on the debt side. The math doesn't work. It never worked. It just looked like it was working because the investing side had a dashboard and the debt side didn't. But let me go deeper, because the debt problem is actually just a symptom. What I've found is that the core issue for most working professionals, people earning $65,000, $85,000, even $120,000 a year, isn't that they're not earning enough, it's that their money has nowhere structured to go. A 2025 Federal Reserve survey found that roughly 37% of Americans wouldn't be able to cover a $400 emergency expense without borrowing or selling something. Think about that. More than 1 in 3 people, not people in poverty, not people without jobs, people who are employed, paying taxes, maybe even contributing to a 401k. The emergency hits, and the only place the money exists is in an investment account they're not supposed to touch, or on a credit card they're definitely going to regret touching. And here's the structural issue I kept seeing when I dug into this. Most people have 1 bank account, maybe 2. A checking account where everything comes in, and sometimes a savings account that's really just a second checking account they occasionally move money into and immediately pull from. There's no system. There's no separation of purpose. Money comes in, money goes out, and whatever's left at the end of the month is what gets saved. That backwards flow, earn, spend, save, is the foundational error. Not the investment strategy, not the stock picks, the architecture of the accounts themselves. I want to show you something that really landed for me. The average professional aged 25 to 40 in the United States earns between $58,000 and $105,000 per year, depending on field and city. After federal taxes, state taxes, and mandatory deductions, let's call the median take-home around $4,200 per month. Now, watch where it goes. Housing, rent, or mortgage
eats $1,450 on average, according to 2025 census data. Transportation is roughly $650 a month when you factor in car payments, insurance, gas, and occasional Uber rides. Food, utilities, subscriptions, phone, call it another $900. That's $3,000 gone before a single discretionary dollar is spent. That leaves $1,200. But there's no structure telling that $1,200 where to go, so it gets absorbed. Dinner's out, Amazon orders, a weekend trip, a new jacket, a few nights where the credit card seemed easier. By month's end, $200 went to savings, maybe. Some months, nothing. And then the person opens an investing app and wonders why they can never seem to get ahead. The problem isn't discipline, it's design. But here's where it gets even more interesting, because the solution isn't about saving more, it's about what happens before you ever think about investing at all. Here's what I realized. Investing without account structure is like trying to build a house on sand. The market can do everything right, the fund can return 12% that year, and it still won't matter, because the first emergency will force a withdrawal, the first big expense will go on a card, and the compounding that was supposed to work for you starts working against you instead.
The research shows that one of the strongest predictors of long-term wealth isn't investment return. It's what behavioral economists call financial stability architecture, the degree to which someone has pre-committed structures that prevent their short-term behavior from destroying their long-term progress. Nobel Prize-winning economist Richard Thaler, who literally wrote the book on behavioral finance, showed that humans are fundamentally bad at making financial decisions in the moment. We discount the future too heavily. We spend what's visible. We treat accessible money as available money, even when it wasn't meant to be. The antidote isn't willpower, it's separation. And what nobody talks about when they hand you a list of index funds to invest in is this. The account structure has to come first, not after you start investing, before, months before in some cases. Here's the truth. If your checking account and your emergency fund and your short-term savings are all in the same mental bucket, or worse, the same literal account, then you do not have financial stability architecture. You have a pile of money with intentions, and intentions are not a plan. What I know now is that every time I saw someone consistently build wealth through interviews, case studies, and my own research into high-saving households, they had one thing in common. Not a high income, not a genius investment strategy. They had deliberately separated their money by function before they put a dollar into anything that fluctuated. That's it. That's the whole thing. And this next part explains everything, because most people skip straight to the investing without ever setting up the layer that makes investing actually stick. Let me break down the 3 accounts specifically, because the devil is entirely in the detail here. The first account is the operating account. This is your checking account, but treated like a business would treat one. Not a dumping ground for everything, a flow-through account. Here's how this works. Your paycheck hits this account. Rent, utilities, minimum debt payments, and regular fixed bills come out of this account. That's it. This account exists for committed, recurring, non-negotiable expenses only. It is not where your discretionary spending happens. It's not where your savings build up. It moves money in and it moves money out. What most people get wrong here is that they use their checking account as their entire financial life. It holds everything: the grocery money, the vacation fund, the emergency buffer, the guilt from last weekend. One number tells them everything, and that number is never clear enough to make good decisions from. The operating account should have a target balance, not whatever happens to be in there. A deliberate floor, enough to cover 2 weeks of committed expenses, plus a small buffer. For most households, that's somewhere between $2,500 and $4,000, nothing more. Surplus gets moved immediately. The second account is the emergency fund account. This is a high-yield savings account, completely separate from checking. Not the same bank, ideally, because the friction of transferring matters. This account has one purpose: absorbing unplanned life events without disturbing your financial plan. Car repairs, medical bills, a sudden loss of income, a broken appliance. The data on what this account should hold is actually pretty well established. The traditional rule is 3 to 6 months of expenses. I'd refine that slightly. For a single person with stable employment and no dependents, 3 months is probably sufficient. For anyone with variable income, dependents, or a job in a cyclical industry, 6 months is the floor and 9 months isn't unreasonable. For the average household spending $3,500 per month on essential costs, a fully funded emergency account holds between $10,500 and $21,000. In a high-yield savings account, currently paying around 4.5 to 4.9% APY as of early 2026, which is still elevated relative to the prior decade, that money is actually working slightly while it waits. This account is not invested, not in bonds, not in money market funds, not in anything with principal risk. The whole point is that it's there when you need it immediately, no questions asked, no market timing required. What I used to think was that having an emergency fund was parking money, dead money, inefficient money.
The truth is it's insurance. And you don't evaluate insurance by its return. You evaluate it by whether it's there when everything else fails. The third account is the short-term goals account. This one is the one most people skip entirely, and it's the reason their investing keeps getting interrupted. This is a separate high-yield savings account, again, ideally at a different institution than checking, or at minimum a sub-account labeled very specifically, and it holds money earmarked for known future expenses within the next 1 to 3 years. Things like a down payment on a car or home, a wedding, a planned move, a career transition that might involve a few months of lower income, a renovation, a maternity or paternity leave period where income will drop. Here is why this account is so important. These are not emergencies, but they are large, predictable, and completely capable of derailing an investment portfolio if they're not planned for. I've seen this pattern more times than I can count. Someone finally gets an investment account going, they've got $18,000 in their brokerage, they're proud of it, they're watching it grow, and then they get engaged, or they decide to move cities, or they need a down payment for an apartment in a new market, and suddenly they're liquidating investments, sometimes at a loss, sometimes triggering tax events to cover an expense they knew was coming. This happens because they had no dedicated structure for planned future spending, so the investment account became the savings account by default. The short-term goals account removes that temptation entirely. You know the wedding is in 18 months. You know it'll cost roughly $22,000. You put $1,200 a month in the goals account, and you do not touch the brokerage for that purpose. The plan stays intact. This happens because the accounts are separated, not because of discipline, because of design. Here's the part I wish someone had told me sooner, because this isn't just about organization. The math of doing this versus not doing this is genuinely staggering. Let me show you the actual compounding impact of having this structure in place. Take 2 people, same income, $82,000 a year, same take-home, roughly $4,350 a month after taxes.
Person A has no account structure. They contribute $300 a month to a brokerage account when they can, but at least 4 times a year they either pull money out for unexpected expenses, pause contributions for 2 or 3 months, or rack up credit card debt that they spend the following months paying off. Over 10 years, Person A invested inconsistently. Some years they managed $2,400 invested, some years $3,600. Some years, zero, because a bad 6 months wiped out their momentum. On average, they got about $250 a month working in the market. At a 9% average annual return, that's roughly $48,000 after a decade. Person B set up the 3 accounts first. It took them 9 months to fully fund the emergency account and the goals account before they ever invested $1. But once they started,
they contributed $500 a month without interruption because the structure protected the contributions. No emergency pulled from the portfolio. No credit card debt created a counter-investment. Just $500 every month, uninterrupted, for 10 years. At the same 9% return, person B has approximately $96,500 after 10 years. Nearly double. Same income, same time period, different structure. That $48,500 gap isn't the market. The market was identical for both of them. It's the 9 months person B spent building the foundation. It's the accounts they set up before they ever opened the brokerage. It's the consistency that the structure made possible. And the gap only grows from there. At year 20, person A has somewhere around $156,000, assuming they never significantly improved their habits. Person B has $340,000. The difference is $184,000 from nothing more than having the right account structure in place before the investing began. If I had to do this over, I would start with the structure before I started with the strategy. Not a new brokerage account, not a hot ETF, not a Roth IRA opened on a Tuesday because I read an article.
3 accounts, 1 operating, 1 emergency, 1 goals. And the mental shift that actually works is this. Stop thinking of your bank accounts as containers that hold whatever's left over. Start thinking of them as functions, each one performing a specific job in your financial system. The operating account is the engine. The emergency account is the airbag. The goals account is the runway. When all 3 are in place and funded to the right levels, something shifts. You stop making reactive financial decisions. The car breaks down and you don't panic. You go to the account that exists for exactly that moment. The wedding approaches and you don't liquidate investments. You open the account you've been funding for 18 months. The market dips and you don't sell because you're not tempted to, because nothing in your life requires you to. What I know now that I didn't know then is that the goal was never to be a sophisticated investor. The goal was to build a system strong enough that simple investing could actually work over a long period of time. The accounts aren't the boring part you skip on the way to the exciting part. The accounts are the whole thing. Here's the reframe I'll leave you with. Most people think financial discipline is about saying no to things, cutting the coffee, avoiding the restaurant, resisting the purchase. But what I found, and what the research actually shows, is that the most financially stable people don't rely on willpower. They built systems that made willpower unnecessary. They didn't resist the impulse to pull from the investment account in a crisis. They built an account whose entire purpose was to make sure that impulse never had to be resisted. That's not a mindset. That's architecture. And you can build it starting with 3 accounts and a plan before a single share of stock is ever purchased. The foundation isn't the boring part. It is the part. If this made you think, the next one will too.